Hello! Oi oi, we're back again. Today, we're talking about talk. Today's topic is talk. Now, actually, today's sort of reading is again from the British Council, but it's called Are We Losing the Art of Conversation? And I want to do this reading, but I also want to do a few other things. Because obviously at the moment, many of us are not actually having many conversations with our friends. We don't actually sit face to face and talk. So I thought we could change this topic a little bit and start to look more at that hot favorite in the English classroom, the speech, making speeches. And so I'm hoping that we can maybe start getting you to make and send in one or two speeches. Let's see how that goes anyway. So onto the topic of speeches, many of you will have experienced the terror of making a speech in class. And many of you will also have received advice from teachers about making speeches. I don't know if I go with a lot of this advice. They'll tell you to make gestures. I'm not sure about that exactly, practicing the gestures like this. I'm not sure. I'll explain more about that later. Also, they'll tell you to speak slowly. Well, that is true. Obviously, when you're making a speech, you make your voice heard. You want to make sure that people can hear what you say. But if you speak too slowly, then it seems that maybe there is something wrong with you. So please, let's try and keep it more natural. We are all human after all. And another thing that your teachers might have told you would be to move your voice, moderate your tone, to keep it going up and down, and to try to emphasize things. Of course, that's important too, but then you try to remember all of this stuff, gesture and slowly, and then to move my voice, and you get all confused and it makes you more nervous and the speech becomes even more terrifying. I've done a lot of judging, a little bit of judging of speech contests in Japan, and I usually find them deeply disturbing experience because the students stand there and they're like puppets, hello everybody, I have 3 points, and my first point is point number 1, and then I am going to talk a lot like this, and I'm going to use these gestures which my teacher taught me, and they look like robot puppets or I don't know what, and it's not really a speech, it's some sort of terrifyingly bad performance. And I'm a human being. If someone's going to talk to me about something, I want that thing to be interesting, and I want that person to be talking to me, not at me. I know you're told to make eye contact. Well, of course you have to make eye contact, but I think the word connect is more important, to try to speak to people. Aristotle had it right again. He talked about trying to make an emotional connection between the speaker and the audience. So there we go. That's what I think you should try to do. You should try to actually talk to people. I'm talking to my iPhone right now, and I'm trying to look at you, but I'm trying to think, oh gosh, what are you doing? I have no idea, and I don't want to think about that too carefully, but I imagine some of you are lying on the floor, some of you are in your room, some of you are in front of a computer, and so, I don't know, just trying to connect, looking at my phone. Anyway, so just try to connect somehow with the people you're talking to. Think, who are these people? How old are they? How are they going to be interested in what I say? Also, another thing which is important, I think, in speeches is to try to relax. Now I know it's very easy for me to sit here when I'm on my own in a room, no one can hear or see what I'm doing, and to tell you to relax. But I think, and another thing is, of course, the more you tell yourself to relax, the worse your tension becomes. I've got to relax, I've got to relax. Oh my God, I'm not relaxed enough, and then it just becomes worse and worse. So, but how can you relax? Well, obviously one thing you can do is, to practice or to have your notes. I haven't practiced any of this at all, but I've got some notes here, so I kind of know what I'm going to say next. And so if you practice, it does help you relax with your confidence. There's no rules in the sense of some people like to practice lots and lots, and other people like to practice less. It's a question of your own personal taste, I think, your self-confidence. Some people function very well when they're a little bit on edge. They don't know exactly what they're going to say next, but they have a pretty good idea. Other people are sort of more, okay, I've got to know every single word, and they want to deliver it perfectly. It's all up to finding your own sort of standard, finding your own sort of way of making a speech. And practice is part of that. Another thing, of course, which is connected to all this relaxing practice is, of course, to sort of feel confident in what you're saying. If you're speaking and you're giving an idea to an audience, you should believe in that idea. You should think of an example of maybe when you're trying to persuade your parents to buy you something which you really, really, really need. And, you should put that same sort of emotion and into your speeches, perhaps. And then another thing I think is always useful, particularly right now, most of the speeches that we have to make, we're not all politicians making speeches for the television. Many of us are just making speeches in classes or to other teachers or people. And many of those people actually know us and, or they're similar to us. And so, there's a sense of a slight ridiculousness to this situation. And you can sort of almost relax a bit more, laugh at yourself, be a bit more informal, try to sort of like pause and sort of laugh if you can, and just sort of, try to make it more relaxing for yourself and for the audience by thinking, well, this situation is rather silly, isn't it, in a way? And I don't know, that's one of the things that I think of. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. As I said, everyone's got their own style. I don't think mine is particularly good at the moment. I'm making a lot of this up. Anyway, and my final note is, basically, if you're going to make a speech in class or like this, which I'm going to hopefully ask you guys to do later, is to try, please try to make it interesting. Okay? Because, you're talking to some people, they're giving you your time. Please try to make it interesting and make it thoughtful or entertaining or something. If you're going to make a speech about your hobby, my hobby is sleeping, please, most people are just not really going to listen to that. But if you say, I don't really have many hobbies, but there's something which I really do like to do. I love dozing off in front of the television. It's so soothing, it's so relaxing. I don't do it often, but usually maybe at about 8 o'clock at night when I should be studying, I switch on something, and it makes it more interesting. You're making more of a story. You're making it a little bit more appealing to your audience. Anyway, so the idea today is we're going to do this reading here about Are We Losing the Art of Conversation from the British Council. Thank you very much, guys. And We're going to do the reading. That's going to be the reading with the exercises. But I'm hoping later in this lesson, when you look down on the website underneath, I'm going to try and get together some sort of Google form thing so you guys can actually write a speech, record a speech on your phones, just like I'm doing now. And then hopefully you can figure out some way of submitting it on the form. Let's hope that works. If it doesn't, I'll have to re-record this whole thing. Okay, let's get on, banging on. No vocab today. We're gonna just bang on with the Are We Losing the Art of Conversation? Now, you will notice as I'm doing this, I'm doing mostly reading and I'm looking down at my print. That's because I've been a little bit busy and I haven't really had a chance to read this through. But, you know, I should try and be making eye contact from time to time. I should try and be varying my voice a little bit to make it seem more interesting to you. I should try and speak clearly so that you can understand what I'm saying. And I should be trying to somehow connect with you. I don't know if I'll get all of that right, but you can judge me for a change. Well, and you can see how I do. Never seen this before. Okay, are we ready? Are you sitting comfortably? And are we losing the art of conversation? We asked 4 people who watched an online talk on technology and communication by Sherry Turkle for their opinions. We don't know who Sherry Turkle is, but never mind. Okay, student A said, the talk certainly gave me plenty of food for thought about the way we communicate these days and how technology is changing our behavior. People are constantly multitasking, whether it be emailing or during meetings or texting in the checkout queue. I really believe it's affecting the way we relate to each other. And it's not just in the workplace. Kids fade into the background as parents message at the dinner table or post on social networks during the school run. Gosh, dinner table? Really? I don't do that, but maybe. It's as if we can't, excuse me, it's as if we can't bear to miss out on what our online buddies are up to. So we juggle the real and the online world. My greatest concern is that we don't give our brains a chance to switch off. It's these precious moments when we actually process information that helps us to make important decisions. That's student A. Student B. It was a fascinating talk. And the speaker really hit the nail on the head with a couple of things. Oh, look at that gesture there. Take parental influence, for instance. How can we expect teenagers not to text while doing their homework when they witness their parents posting on social media while cooking the evening meal or waiting at a red light? That's not allowed. She also made a valid point about people wanting to be in 2 or several places at once. So they switch back and forth between their real life and online conversations. I see it all the time with my teenage daughter and her friends. They arrange to meet and then sit together in silence while each one engages in a different conversation online. Who knows? So student C says, oh, so much of what the speaker said rang true. I honestly believe there's a danger that the more connected we are, the more isolated we feel. I don't think there is such an issue for my generation. Oh, these are obviously all sort of older people who've lived without technology for so long. We know how to be alone. We know how to be alone. Hold that thought. And more importantly, we know that it's okay to be alone. Sorry. But the under 20s are another kettle of fish. They're so busy communicating that they never experience the feeling of solitude and run the risk of not learning how to enjoy their own company. In addition, they're learning conversation through messages that can be edited and changed at the expense of learning the art of real conversation in real time with the person in front of you. Student D. I'm not sure to what extent I agree that people are more alone. But the way we communicate has certainly evolved. We send tiny snippets of conversation or emoticons to each other, and I wonder how much this actually allows us to really understand one another. This superficial conversation is replacing in-depth face-to-face interaction with its pauses, intonation, and sentiment. The speaker makes a good point about how we're getting used to conversing with machines like Siri or robots, which are totally devoid of any experience or human life. But despite such limitations, we seem to be expecting more from technology and less from each other. Well, there you go. A, B, C, and D. Different takes on this thing about talking, speaking, the art of conversation. There's a lot of different opinions on this. If social media is actually making us just have conversations in different ways, or if it's kind of replacing conversations. Not sure about that. Maybe it's something you can talk about in your speech. Now, I'm really hoping I can get together this writing/speech thing at the bottom of today's page. If not, I'm going to have to do this all over again. But in the meantime, thank you very much for your attention. Let's try and make some speeches and make it good. Boom, boom. Bye-bye.